our national officials for this match. First referee, Ms. Joy De Imus. Second referee, Mr. Fernando Velarde. Let's welcome our starting lineup from our Galeries Tower Highrisers. Let's begin with jersey number 2, Marianne Esguerra. At number 3, Isabel Jamie Jimenez. Wearing jersey number 4, Maria Sholame Alvarez. At number 8, Renee Mapilangan. Number 4, number 14, Andrea Marzan. And number 23, Roma Joy Dormal. Starting libero is number 10, Eliza Eroa. And coach, Miss Lerma Hiron. Calling on our Capital1 Solar Spikers. Let's begin with their team captain. She wears jersey number 10, Jarrell Singh. At number 9, Aiko Sweet Urdas. Wearing jersey number 11, Catherine Villegas. Number 12, Cathy Jane Orendain. Number 14, May Makatuno. And at number 15, Maria Lourdes Clemente. Starting libero is number 18, Rica Jane Rivera. Head coach, Mr. Roger Goraye. This match is under the supervision and regulation of the Games and Amusement.
Here are your starters for the Galeries Tower Highriser. As we mentioned, Liza Eroa will be manning the defense for Galeries in this match, together with Mabilingan, Doromal, Marzan, Esguerra, and Jimenez. Over on for Capital1 Solar Spikers, we have Des Clemente, Aiko Urdas, May Makatuno, RJ Rivera, Patty Orendain, Jorel Singh, and Kath Villegas as their starters. Good afternoon, everyone. We are live here in Santa Rosa City. Together with me is Carmela Tunay. Miguel de Guzman po calling the shots for today. Starting serve. Eroa with a good dig. And that is a double contact violation, rather a net touch violation called on Galeries, giving Capital1 their first points of the match.
Error on the side of Galeries to start things off here for Capital1. And we see Aiko Urdas actually playing today. I believe she did not, she wasn't in the lineup against PLDT.
Makatuno will set this one up to Singh. Good dig by Alvarez. Ball is still alive. This will be a free ball for Galeries. Doromal will drop this one. Good defense. Unfortunately, Urdas will not be able to get that ball. Point for Galeries.
Rica Rivera actually quick to read that drop shot, but there was a problem on getting that ball across to Galeries.
Isa Jimenez now up to serve for the Galeries Tower Highrisers. Good serve and an ace for Isa Jimenez.
Good target by Jimenez, really targeting the middle part or the gap between the two defenders.
Now, let's turn it over first before we head into the match to Alison Ko for a report on Galeries.
Miguel and Mela, as the Galeries Tower Highrisers look to end their 4-game slide in today's game, I was actually talking to team captain Dini Pacres a while ago in their dugout, and she shared to me that their training over the past few days had not just been focused about the physical skills, but also about mental composure. In fact, she added that aside from skills training, weightlifting, and agility training, the Highrisers has also been doing some meditations. They have gathered in their court before every training and every game to just breathe, relax, and compose themselves. And so in today's game, as they look to end their losing streak, they really are depending on mental composure above anything else. This report is brought to you by the Pilipinas Live app. Download and subscribe now or watch via PilipinasLive.com. Experience the PVL games live in HD and commercial-free anytime and anywhere in the world. Back to you, Miguel and Mela.
Thank you for that report. Now, The game is tied at 2. Galleries up 3-2 against Capital 1 in this closely contested first set so far. Esguerra will serve for Galleries, targeting Singh. Rivera, underhand set to... Oh, what an attack.
Pati Orendain scoring off that attack targeting zone 6. Pati Orendain, one of the bigger names also during her time. She played for University of St. Lasal, and every time there were invitational leagues here in Manila, she would always stand out. So nabanggit ko yan, Miguel, kanina sa pregame na itong Capital 1, they actually have a lot of stars from UAAP, NCAA from their prime, but nawala sila sa league for a time, and also the pandemic then it happened. So these teams, a lot of them, majority of them are returning players, and it's a matter of having a lot of playing time, also playing experience to get back on their groove.
Speaking of playing time and returning players, Aiko Ordas scoring an ace for Capital 1. Let's look at the replay right here. And Mela, you mentioned that most of them are returning. And for Capital 1, karamihan sa kanila naging mag-teammates na before. Kaya even though they're a new team, the chemistry is not that much of an issue for this team in the conference so far.
Yan naman yung kailangan nila ng mga extra or added value, sabi nga natin sa pregame. But ito, super valuable to her team. I believe itong si Patty, just like Aiko Ordas, did not play in that game against PLDT. But just look at that. Getting another point off the attack, and the Galleries will call for a timeout.
Nabasa mo naman. Regardless kung kaninong bola, nabasa mo, di ba? Magsipag ka, magsipag ka.
Okay, sige.
Again, dito sa outside hitter, i-close natin yung line. I-close natin yung line. Dito, open ang line sa kabila. Naintindihan ba natin? Missing link kayong dalawa. Missing link kayong dalawa. Let's go! Hey!
Capital 1 with a 3-point lead over Galeries Tower so far. Aiko Ordas is still at the service line for the Solar Spikers. Good start here for Capital 1, most especially Pati Orendain, who has been active offensively, as Aiko Ordas with another good serve. Rivera, Makatuno, 1-2 play. He sent over to the other side, Singh. To the running, Villegas. Back set to Doromal, finds a hole. Nope, second try, and that sails outside. But there's a net touch called by our second referee.
I was actually gonna call that Rivera save dahil nung unang beses na save niya, hindi rin nila na-over. But this time na save niya, but the point remains with the Galeries Tower after that net violation.
Joy Doromal now serving for Galeries Tower.
So that ends the 4-0 run of Capital 1.
It's a long rally also. A good serve here by Doromal. Singh will send this one over. Makatuno to Singh. Checked at the net. Alvarez. This is another long rally. Orendain tries to find the hole and succeeds, scoring again for Capital 1.
Makatuno has been going a lot to Jarel Singh sa pipe, but it hasn't been converted into points, and so she goes to the hot hands, and Pati Orendain 3 points already for Pati.
Now at the service line, Orendain from La Carlota City in Negros with a good serve, targeting Alvarez. Over reception. Villegas will send this one over. Jimenez from the back row, straight to the net.
Ito naman din yung magiging factor for both teams, no, yung errors nila. And just like that, after the run, Capital 1 will head on to the technical timeout.
8-4 is the score here, and we just want to tell you that Arena Plus astig sa sports. 8-4, good start here by Capital1 Orindain. Really active offensively for the Solar Spikers, together with a good serving of Aiko Ordas. Coach Lerma already called a timeout, trying to figure things out early on in set number 1. Miguel de Guzman together with Mela Tunay calling the match here in Santa Rosa City. You know, Mela, you raised a very good point early on in this match na yung mga ganitong games going up against teams that are new to the league. Ito yung mga importante for the players on the court right now.
Well, of course, yung mga teams natin na nasa taas ng standings, ilang taon na ng experience and chemistry yung mga napagdaanan nila. So, to manage the expectations, of course, these new teams, as we see them at the bottom of the standings also, very crucial yung kapag sila yung magharap.
And that's what Coach Roger said also. Kaya iniikot niya, binabalasa niya talaga yung mga players niya. And Singh scores for Capital1. Now, going back to my point, binabalasa ni Coach Roger in order to give them the experience and the exposure that they need.
And, you know, these new teams, a lot of them, even yung Galeries, I think, just weeks prior the tournament, they are still adding onto their roster. So, in terms of preparation talaga, hindi pa ganun ka-solid yung nagkaroon silang time and experience to prepare against the more veteran teams in the PVL. So now, they're trying to find out dito sa game kung ano ba yung mga limitations ng mga players, hanggang saan ba sila.
First substitution of the match. Fenem Nas now in the game for Galeries Tower. Pati Orendain still at the service line.
This is gonna be very interesting because may Makatuno and Fenem Nas were both Adamson setters, and when May Makatuno graduated, it was actually M. Nas who replaced her. So, let's see if may similarities sa diskarte.
Goes to Doromal at the back row. Makatuno, checked by the net is Singh. M. Nas activates the middle. Orendain from the back row. Alvarez cross court. Good dig by Rivera. Another long rally. This will be a free ball for M. Nas. And she chooses Alvarez, who had to send that one over. Singh. Ball goes outside of that attack by Jarrell Singh.
Both teams displaying very quick reflexes on defense.
Now this is a Duncan spike off the set. Brought to you by Duncan, pasalubong ng bayan. Kitang-kita mo, cross-court Mela. Huli, point, goes to Capital1.
Even Rica Rivera, ang ganda rin nung pinakita niyang reflexes on her defense. Pero even Galeries as well. Muntik pang mag-inside yung itatawid na foot over. But this time, another violation, or error rather, on the attack department. But Coach Lerma will try to challenge that call. So clearly it was out, but we're gonna see if there was a block touch of that last spike. Players also making use of this time to just relax and get their head back on the game, as this is already a big lead established by Capital1, 11-4.
Yeah.
A green card being awarded to Capital1.
So the green card is for fair play, meaning inamin na nila in order for us to not push through with the challenge. Now, Jarrell Singh rather is awarded for that fair play moment card. Galeries with a serve. Rivera, Makatuno. Doromal. Makatuno this time goes to Singh again. Down the line. Good block by Amnas. Singh again, this time rejected by Marzan.
A great timing by Andrea Marzan. On her earlier attempt, it was actually Fen Amnas who got to block Jarrell Singh, but on this last one, it was a single block by Andrea Marzan.
Audrey, Audrey Paran now serving for Galleries. They trail Capital 1 6 to 11. Urdas Makatuno sets it up to Sing again. Tries to find the hole and is successful.
Very good adjustment from Jarel Singh. Sabi niya nga, she's being extra inspired today because her family and friends are watching. And what a way to learn from being blocked 2 times in a row. And just tipping that off behind the blockers.
Des Clemente now in the game. In front for Capital 1, Villegas with the serve. Eroa, Emnas to Marzan. Jimenez tries to push that one over, but that is too much. Point goes to Capital 1.
We did mention during the pre-game, no, yung defense ng Galleries, lalo na with Eroa on the floor, it's gonna be their biggest advantage. However, the errors from the attacks really becoming a problem at this point in this set 1.
Villegas with a good serve. Emnas, 1-2 play for Galeries Tower.
Her spikers couldn't convert. She's gonna take matters into her hands. Just look at that, not the tallest setter, but definitely one of the offensive ones.
And she's known for that. Talking about Fen Emnas. Marzan now serving for Galleries. Targeting Urdas. Singh keeps the ball up. This will be a free ball. Emnas! Too much sauce on that one. Touches the net.
But she had the right intention. Lalo na the players of Capital 1 are compressed on probably the front part of the court. Even Urdas sweeper siya, but she's almost at the center line.
Makatuno now serving for Capital 1, targeting Doromal. Emnas, 1-2 play again. She has been active offensively for Galleries. This time goes to Jimenez, cross court. Rendain with a good dig. Rivera to Singh. Check at the net off the hands of Doromal, and point goes to Capital.
Those tip shots have been working for Jurel Singh. She gets more instructions from Coach Roger. Parang sinisenyasan siyang mag-cross court eh. But this point right here, as effective.
7:15 is the score now. Emnas goes to Jimenez. Checked at the net. Emnas. This will be a free ball for Capital 1. Urdas goes cross court. Doromal was there. And from the back row is Paran. Singh. Everything going well for Jarel Singh right now in this game, Mela.
Jarel Singh targeting yung pagitan ng dalawang floor defenders, lalo na Jimenez was gonna go on transition. Just like that, we have a big lead here. Capital 1 to the second technical timeout.
Number 1, Pajero with plate number KTD 222. Pajero KTD 222. Second vehicle is a white Vios. White Vios with plate number NEF 8736. NEF 8736. And finally, a black 4 with plate number NVH 7037. NVH 7037.
Awesome live sports viewing is guaranteed with Signal yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Switch now and get up to 3 months with no cash out. Visit www.signal.tv/switch for more details. 16-7 is the score in favor of Capital 1. And they are up 9 against the Galeries Tower Highrisers. Melatunay, what can you say about the game so far and how Capital 1 has controlled the first set?
Well, you mentioned it already. They are in complete control in this set number 1. Definitely more players working on their side. On the other side naman, clearly struggling, lalo na sa atake. So they still haven't found that go-to player. If anything, yeah, it was Emnas who has been trying to score off offensively as a setter.
Jimenez from the back row, Makatuno to the running Clemente. And unfortunately, that does not go over to the other side. Point goes to Capital 1 again.
So the system of Galeries Tower really absent, safe to say, absent in this set number 1 because nothing that they've been trying to pull off have been working here. And they're down by 10 points against Capital One. And to think Capital One isn't doing anything special, it's really a them problem on their side, which they haven't figured out at this point.
Capital One also serving heavy here in this match, but Galeries showing their might at the net, blocking Jarrell Singh.
No, it's even Fenemnas who scored off that solid block. Let's take a look at that again. Good timing, good penetration of the block. Magandang bunot ni Coach Lerma dito sa isa sa mga feature natin na players during the pregame. Talking about Fenemnas.
Trying to spark some life into this Galeries Tower team. Tama yung sinabi ni Mela. Makatuno to Clemente who pushes it. Smartly finds a hole at the back of the Galeries defense.
Clemente, alam mo, matatawag nating tip shot yon, pero yung speed niya could pass as a spike dahil ang ganda itong si Audrey Paran didn't even get to that ball.
That service goes outside.
It's a good read by Alyssa Eroa. Ito naman, kung may mga players minsan na-miscalculate pa nila yung mga serves. Ito si Alyssa Eroa, veterano na sa pagbasa ng mga serves.
Isa Jimenez with the serve. Makatuno to the running Clemente. Emnas, what a back set to Doromal. Clemente will send this one over. Emnas again. This time chooses Paran. Ball is still alive. May chooses Clemente again. Clemente really active in these rallies for Capital One. This will be a free ball for Galeries.
Longest rally of this set number 1 so far. And it's gonna end with that Anis Guerra middle hit. In that long rally, we saw May Makatuno going to Des Clemente a lot, but ironically, it's gonna end with the Galeries Tower. Of course, Emnas also setting up her middle in Anis Guerra.
Isa Jimenez, former USD Growling Tigress. Serve is good. And that's an ace for Isa Jimenez. And now this time, there will be a challenge on that service ace called by Capital One.
Coach Roger not taking any chances. Kung kayang makaputol ng momentum o makanako ng puntos with this challenge, gagawin niya. Really protecting the lead.
You know, and it's one thing I'm looking forward to is when we get to listen to Coach Roger's huddles here in the PVL, Mela.
Very iconic quotes from Coach Roger Grayev.
And he has this way of communicating with his players, as you see here. The footage of the challenge. And that is ball out. Good call by Coach Roger, giving the linesman a high five. And as that challenge is successful for his team. Des Clemente now at the service line for the Solar Spikers. Misreception by Jimenez. Free ball, Capital One. Ordaz is checked at the net. Doromal goes down the line, and that's good for Joy Doromal.
Itong Capital One has been trying to set up combination plays, but good counter by the Galeries. They only needed to check Ordaz to come up with that Doromal counter attack.
Marzan. And that goes straight to the net. As Esguerra service goes low. Now you see Marzan in front with Fenemnas here for Galeries. Meanwhile, Orendain and Villegas for Capital One.
It's an exchange of service errors here at the set number 1. Kanina, it was the Galeries committing a lot of attack errors, but this time, back-to-back service errors from both teams. But the Capital One is just 5 points away from seeing off this set number 1.
RJ Doromal now serving for Galeries. Misreception by Rivera. Singh unable to get it. Good hustle from Jorel.
Buti na lang one of their coaches was there to catch Jorel Singh. Makikita mo nakatingin din siya sa bola eh. Talagang the intention was to save that ball. Just calculating the presence of our signage right there. I think she's safe and we'll go back to that extra inspiration she's been telling us about.
And speaking of inspiration, RJ Doromal there with the service ace, and this time there is no doubt that that ball goes inside.
Well, at some point here in set number 1, they were down by as much as 10 points. And right now, after that Doromal service ace, they cut it to just 6.
Doromal, another service error for Galleries. Now, Patty Orendain is at the service line for Capital 1. Already with 3 points in the match so far. Emnas to Marzan, who sends this one over. Makatuno to Urdas. That sails outside.
Just a lot of unforced errors from both squads right now. But we go back to that point no, na both teams actually lacked the amount of preparation that the other teams have put in for this conference. So, you know, that could also explain why the mastery of the skills, the chemistry isn't as present right now.
And Villegas' attack will be challenged by Capital 1 to be a block touch. And they will huddle in the middle of the court. And another fair play award is given.
Mga honest ng mga players from Galeries and Capital 1. But it also saves us time. Saves
Yes.
everybody time. No?
Fair play moment there for in the Galeries Tower Highrisers. Villegas with the serve and the service ace puts them 2 points away from taking the first set of this match.
So back-to-back points from Kat Villegas. First from that running hit, and this time targeting that sideline really well, just right behind itong si Jimenez. We see Carly Hernandez on the floor right now.
Targeted by Villegas in that sequence. Makatuno to Jorel Singh. She's been going to that drop shot so far in this match. Hernandez will send this one over. Singh again had to adjust. Emnas to Hernandez. And there will be a net violation called on Capital 1.
Lourdes Clemente owning up to that violation. And you see Carly Hernandez very quick in transition. She would go from defense to offense. And usually we see her as a libero or a service specialist in her previous teams. But here she was given the opportunity to be an attacker. But her last point is going to be put to waste by that service error from Marzan.
Makatuno now serving for Capital 1. They are at set point and they hold an 8-point lead against Galleries. Emnas to Hernandez again. And she gets the point for Galeries Tower.
Great swing by Carly Hernandez. Makita mo talaga yung quality of the minutes she's been playing for Coach Lerma. And the way she moves inside the court, saving one set point against Capital 1.
Emnas serving for Galleries. Makatuno to Urdas. And that seals set number 1 in favor of Capital 1.
Just the right amount of power and the elevation from Aiko Urdas to get that monster kill, sealing off this first set win for Capital 1. Sabi natin, mga stars na napahinga ngayon nagbabalik, and Aiko Urdas is one of them.
Big first set for Aiko Urdas as her team takes set number 1, 25-17. We'll be back for set number 2. Start for the Solar Spikers as we see that Jarrell Singh, Aiko Ordas, and Patty Orendain leading the scoring
1, 2, 3.
for Capital One. Melanie, take us through the highlights and what happened in set number 1.
In set number 1, we did mention how the Capital One Spikers really controlled the whole set, and they led to as much as 10 points. Medyo nag-try makadikit itong Galeries Towers during the latter part of the first set with substitutions like Carly Hernandez coming in, but just a lot of options for May Makatuno to contribute in that first set as we see the Capital One Solar Spikers doubling up on attacks against the Galeries Tower, and yung blocks dyan medyo nakabawi itong Galleries and even sa Aces, but the errors that they gave away to Capital One are just too much at hindi nila nabawi sa ibang departments. Meanwhile, for Capital One, they have around 4 players who scored more than 3 points in that set number 1. So clearly, just a lot more contributors on the side of Capital One.
A good start for the Solar Spikers here in this match. As you mentioned, Mela, they had 3 aces as compared to the 2 of Galeries Tower, but the service errors that the Highrisers committed really hurt them in breaking the momentum. Kasi nung pinasok si Emnas, nung pinasok si Hernandez, medyo nagkakaroon na sila ng momentum eh. And then once these service errors started coming in, Capital One able to take the first set with ease.
Right now, Coach Derma is gonna try off another set of starters. Ngayon, si Emnas will be starting after that better setting job in set number 1. But we also see Bumbita and Audrey Paran starting.
Heather Ginoo also in the game for Capital One as Audrey Paran scores the first point of the second set for Galeries Tower.
Ganda ng iwas ni Audrey Paran dun sa blockers. Just look at that, the deep cross just a bit behind the attack line. Great target by Paran.
Emnas serving. Makatuno goes to Urdas. Checked at the net. Heather will send this ball over. Eroa, Emnas, back set. RJ Doromal. And that is a point for RJ.
We have to commend the efforts of Capital One. Patty Orendain almost getting that ball across with the effort to go after the ball. Pero puntos para pa rin sa Galeries Tower. They lead by 2 points to start off this set number 2. Actually, yung error nila to begin things off in the first set it might have dictated the game for them as well. Kasi doon sa buong set end, dami nila naging errors. But this time, a stronger start for the Galeries Tower. 3-0 against Capital 1.
Strong start by Galeries Tower, but first let's listen in to Allison who has a report on Capital 1.
Miguel and Mela, ever since the start of the season, team captain Jarell Singh already shared her personal goal is to provide leadership to her team's younger squad. And so before coming into this set, aside from Coach Roger, Jarell also took the time to talk to her teammates. And this is in line to what she told me back in the dugout earlier about her taking on the role not just as the team captain, but also as the ate of the team. More so being with Coach Roger since her college days back in 2015. She told me, sanay na kasi ako sa system ni Coach Roger, so goal ko talaga i-guide yung mga bagong players. This report is brought to you by the Pilipinas Live app. Download and subscribe now or watch via pilipinaslive.com. Experience the PVL games live in HD and commercial-free anytime and anywhere in the world. Back to you, Miguel and Mela.
Thank you for that report, Allison. Now, Mela, Allison mentioned one very important thing, which is leadership and familiarity with Coach Roger's system. Now, with a young team or a new team in Capital 1, yung mga ganitong players yung importante sa kanila in order to find their footing here in the PVL.
Let's talk about the longevity of that rally. Talagang nga ba, mas nauna pa matapos yung report ni Allison kesa dun sa last rally na yon. But yeah, going back to your point, no, yung familiarity and leadership, there's something about Coach Roger na every time mapupunta siya sa any team and he'll be given the liberty to choose his players, he would always pick players that he has worked with in the past, and that's something na nakikita kong beneficial for them kasi like among the new teams, I mean comparing these two, di ba? Itong Galleries naglaro na last conference, but the way we're looking at it now, mas nakikita natin yung pag-gel ng mga players here on the side of Capital 1. Dahil nga meron na silang experience, alam nila yung mga strengths ng isa't isa, kung ano yung mga weaknesses na kailangan nilang i-cover sa isa't isa. And at the same time, si Coach Roger also giving opportunities to almost everyone. Like itong si Heather Ginoo, we are seeing on the floor right now.
Capital 1 is trying to gun for win number 2 here in this match. As you look at this attack by Anis Guerra.
Alam mo, personally, nalilito din ako kay Anis Guerra at kay Marzan. Medyo para sila ng build. But of course, Anis Guerra also having a lot of experience during her time with the Army team.
Heather Ginoo sends that one straight to the net. Audrey Paran now at the service line for Galleries. Paran, also from National University.
Yeah, I see a lot of NU players, former NU players here. Si Des Clemente actually right before playing for Perpetual and Dasal, she came from NU. Of course, Ordas, Jarell Singh. On the other side, we have Doromal from NU.
A lot of familiar names, familiar faces for both of these teams, as there will be a challenge called by Galleries for that block touch on that previous Doromal attack. Good crowd here in Santa Rosa City today, Mela. You know, in our first game, the Cherry Tigo crossovers stopping their 2-game losing streak at the expense of the previously undefeated na Creamline Cool Smashers.
And of course, having a triple header also allows the people na masulit yung kanilang mga tickets. And right after this game, we're gonna see a sister act between Nexted and Akari Chargers as we take a look at this block touch challenge. So clearly that ball did not hit the blocking arm of Pati Rendain, hence an unsuccessful challenge by Coach Lerma.
Des Clemente will head to the service line for Capital 1, targeting Iroa. Paran from the back row. Good dig by Ginoo. And Orendain scores for Capital 1.
You know, during our time before nakalaban namin to si Pati Orendain, and isa yan sa mga, actually madaming players yung napipikon, hindi sa kanya, pero the way she plays, kasi every time kahit double block, nagagawa niya talagang makapuntos. Even in teams against F2, very capable to score. There's gonna be a collision between Makatuno and Bombita. Of course, we want a healthy game between these two teams. Bombita, as we know, also just recovered from an ACL injury back when she was in Signal.
Good to see her back on the court right now. This time with Galeries. Esguerra with the serve. And this is a service ace off the hands of Heather Ginoo. There's a substitution called on the court, but the referees have to remind the technical crew that we are supposed to head into the first technical timeout of the second set. Arena Plus, a stake sa sports. After the first technical timeout of the second set, Galeries Tower with an 8-3 lead over Capital1. This time, Mela, sila naman yung lamang heading into the first technical timeout, talking about Galeries. And as you see here on the screen, Mandy Romero, who is the team owner of Capital1, smiling and waving at the camera, enjoying the PVL action here this Saturday in Santa Rosa City. And Esguerra serving for Galeries Tower. Kneeling set. Good set, but the better dig by Esguerra. And RJ Dromal overcooks that one, giving Capital1 the
And
point.
Esguerra's good defense not gonna pay off after that error, but we see Tim Pacres, team captain of the Galeries Tower, and enter the match to hopefully create an impact here. They are still at the lead 8-4, doubling up on Capital1, but they need extra effort just to tie this game with 1-1.
Aiko with a good serve. And Villegas says thank you for that regalo.
A lot of explosive attacks coming off from Villegas, meaning the first set was also well activated by Makatuno. But right now, kahit walang setter, kaya niya pumuntos thanks to that regalo.
Urdas serving straight to the net. Fortunately, that error brings the Galeries lead back to 4. Dim Pacres at the service line for Galeries.
Urdas already top scoring for Capital1, 5 points alongside Jurel Singh.
Good serve from Pacres. One hand set. This will be a free ball for Emnas. Bombita!
Grace Bombita with that explosive attack. Good to see her back.
That explosive attack and that spike of the set is brought to you by Duncan, pasalubong ng bayan. Grace Bombita scoring her first points off the match. Here, as you mentioned, Mela, it's good to see her back.
Yeah, I would never get tired of reminding people about that time na si Grace Bombita was the top scorer of the 2021 Bubble Conference, and that was the time she was playing for Bali Pure. They would score of upsets against Cherry Tigo with Jaja Santiago there. And, nangyari lang talaga yung injury niya, and the sad part is, in that conference, her first conference with Signa, she didn't get to play because she got injured during the warm-up.
Yes, that's right. As Emnas goes to Bombita again. Cross court. Rivero's there.
Jalana committing an error to the dismay of Coach Roger Gore. Mapapailing, mapapakamot ng tenga. And struggling to find that, solid spiker is Coach Roger. Kanina, nakita ko, pinagalitan niya din si Heather because Heather committed 3 errors already. Tingnan natin kung makakabawi si Lana.
Off the hands of Ipak, who is in the game. Paran, Makatuno will set this one to the back row. Orendain, Emnas to Paran again. Check that the net.
Villegas clearly dominating this rotation from atas. Now, sa block naman pupuntos. Great anticipation and read by Kat Villegas. And now she's off to serve for Capital 1.
Villegas with a serve. Pacres sets up Paran. Check that the net. Ordas, Makatuno. Jalana, check by Emnas!
Ben Emnas looking like she's 6'5" with that killer block. I think that was her second block point already in this game. A very impactful player and a good leader as well.
Ipak serving for Galleries. They have a 5-point lead over Capital 1. That sails outside.
The challenge for the Galeries Tower is how to maintain the momentum that they have right now in the second set. I mean, they've been scoring off big points like that one, that kill block from Emnas, but they also throw it off right after.
Paran has been active in this set, scoring for Galleries again.
Great display of wrist action and power all together. Just look at that Paran hit. Great swing. Good follow through as well, and a good connection between Emnas and her.
Landicho is now in the game as the libero for Capital 1. Emnas at the service line for Galleries.
Landicho also from NU.
Yes. It's Orendain, Makatuno. Combination to Lana.
Lana also one of the UAAP standouts from UE. Going for this combination play and just targeting that end line. Bongita wasn't ready to defend.
Jalana now serving for Capital 1. Emnas back set to Paran. And she's confident that there was a touch, but Coach Lerma says play on.
Still a 3-point lead.
Jalana from UE. With a good serve. Emnas, underhand set to Paran. Good dig by Lana. Orendain down the line.
Pati Rendain, walang kupas. And like I mentioned earlier, kahit merong double block dyan, kayang lumusot whether off the block or through the block. They're gonna go to this timeout. Let's listen in.
Pakigalaw ang inyong sasakyan at makaharang po kayo.
Okay, dulo-dulo.
Pajero.
Yung mga tao natin sa dulo, kailangan natin mag-block na maayos. Tayo na nyo. Okay? Ngayon, pasa tayo. Ha? Sino na sa harapan? Tatlo, Ben. Kung kaya mag-activate, ready ka rin ng back row. Pagagitin mo muna sa middle. Pero kailangan muna natin pasa. Pasa tayo, ha? Pasa muna tayo.
Let's go! Hey, Alexander! Here! Ninakatawag natin pa
One-on-one, heart-to-heart conversations with Mark Pingris and Gilas legends tackling their life stories on and off the court. Puso to Puso is exclusive on Filipinas Live app. Download and register now for free. Jalana at the service line for Capital 1. They cut this lead down to 2. Emnas keeps the ball up. Landicho, Makatuno to Clemente. That goes over to the other side. Orendain to Ordas, who has been quiet so far. and breaks her scoreless run so far, now cutting down the lead to 1.
Well, after scoring 4 in the first set, this is just her second point here in the second set. But still very active for Capital One. I mean, after not playing in that game against PLDT, she helps Capital One complete this 4-0 run in the second set.
Good serve by Lana. Emnas, combination. Tuparan. Joust at the net. And Esguerra wins that one.
Miscalculated by Pati Orendain. Kinapos lang ng konti. Get that ball across. They're actually on the verge of equalizing the score of Galeries, but now they're back to the 2-point deficit.
Let's see if Galeries can hold on to this lead as we approach the midpoint of the second set. Orendain is checked. Emnas underhand set to Bombita. Checked. Landicho to Orendain. Down the line. Finds a space in the defense.
Very creative attack by Pati Orendain. I mean, we've seen her na dinrasa yung palo kanina, and we saw her cut shots as well. But this time, targeting the sideline towards the end line. It's the perfect spot to get that point.
Clemente now serving for Capital One. Underhand set to Pacres. Urdas, what a dig. Orendain grazes the net. Bombita scores for the Galeries Tower Highrisers.
Definitely one of the power spikers of the league, and it's so good to see her back. Dahil during the time that she was playing back for the PVL, it was last conference with the Galeries. Medyo ingat pa eh, but ngayon you see her more comfortable and back to her powerful ways in attacking.
Challenging Villegas in that attack. Makatuno to Orendain. Drop shot. Read well by Ipak. Free ball, Capital One. Urdas checked at the net.
Well, the thing about Tana is, wala pang pito, tumigil na siya ng galaw. So, kapag minsan they feel like 4 touches, they should go on dahil medyo tricky na yung shot na yan. But we're gonna see if they make up for that point after this technical timeout.
(16-13). This time it's the Galeries High Tower Spikers with a lead over the Capital1 Solar Spikers. Less errors now for Galeries. Better start finding their groove so far here. They have been having... It's been challenging for them to stop Pati Orendain though. Over on the Capital side of things, Ipak, Bombita has been huge for Galeries in this set so far. Makatuno to Villegas. Checked by Bombita. Orendain.
And now you get the kind of frustration na kinakwenta ko sa'yo before ng mga teams na kalaban ni Pati Orendain. I mean, just look at her. A very simple set to her. Very simple way of approaching. But the result, diba? It's a very highly efficient attack.
Emnas to Ipak. Quickly apologizes.
Ariel Ipak crossing onto the side of Capital One to apologize. But nonetheless, a very emphatic attack for her. Ganda may kasa pag nagra-running itong si Ipak.
Dimpacres serving. Targeting Ordaz. Makatuno. 1-2 play again. Good read by Oroa. And there will be a net touch. Felemnas really sure that it wasn't her who touched the net. And that forces Capital 1 to call a timeout. They trail 18-14.
Puntos tayo ng isa, error tayo ng tatlong sunod-sunod. Ilalamang talaga yung mga iyan. Ang bagal nyo maglaro. Anong nangyari? Bilisan nyo ng kaunti yung atake ninyo. Ikaw, swerte sa paluan eh. Kahit saan ibigay na kukurba yung bola eh. Maging smarte lang muna kayo doon sa loob. Nag-ahabol tayo, hindi tayo lamang ha.
Let's go, let's go! Kapitan natin, let's go.
Get 7-day premium access to the NBA, the PBA, the UAAP, PVL, and other leagues and exclusive shows when you download Pilipinas Live. Register now for free. Pilipinas Live app is available for Filipinos everywhere. Dimpacres serving for Galeries Tower. 18-14. Orendain checked at the net. Ordaz has to set up to Orendain again. Emnas from the back row this time is Paran. Orendain again. And Emnas with another rejection at the net.
That was a great set by May Makatuno. Imagine from zone 6. Saktong-sakto niyang naiabot ni Pati Orendain with that power set. But look at that block by Pen Emnas. Great timing and perfect penetration of her hands.
3 now, Mela, in our unofficial count. Let's
for
double
sure.
check that. But she's been a force at the net for Galleries. Talking about Pen Emnas, who sets this one up to Ipak for her second point of the match.
Now she's the top. Emnas is the third top scorer from Galeries. Following Doromal with 6 and Esguerra with 5. Imagine a setter. One of the main contributors in terms of points.
Coach Roger forced to call another timeout.
Parang, ano ba, i-score lang ang kalaban niya eh. Huwag nyo kalabanin yung score. Yung laro nyo, bilisan nyo, i-score kayo. Huwag nyo silang sabayan, nag-open na lang. Ayun na bumablock doon sa quicker. Tingnan nyo yung kamay, kanan yung pumapalo, ang block mo sa kaliwang kamay niya. Hindi talaga kayo magpapangabot.
Go lang!
Coach Roger pointing out some defensive adjustments that his team has to make. Talking about Noriel Ipak, who has already scored twice for Capital 1 in this set. Dimpacres, Bombita also contributing to the scoring tally of the Highrisers. Orendain drops, but Bombita was there. Ipak trying to find the hole. Landicho, Ordaz from the back row. Emnas to the running Ipak. And the score again for Galeries Tower.
Earlier, we were talking about the contributions of Villegas, and what a way for Coach Lerma's girls to replicate the efforts of the middle, who's been contributing big time for Capital 1, and now they have Ipak doing the same thing for them.
Emnas activating her middles here in this set as everything is going right for Galeries. Service ace there from Dimpacres. They are 3 points away from winning their first set here in the tournament, Mela.
A completely different Galeries Tower Highrisers. We're seeing here in the second set, everything going right for them. Itong si Coach Lerma naggawa ng adjustments pagdating sa tao niya, and it's been working wonders for her.
It's the happy mindset that Carly Hernandez mentioned to us earlier in the game. And you see it here. Ang gaan tingnan ng Galeries sa court. You know, despite Capital scoring on them, you see them smiling, communicating with each other, and it shows they now have a 7-point lead over Capital 1.
Complete turnaround of things here in the second set. During the first set, it was completely controlled by Capital One, and here in the second set, talaga namang it was the Galeries Tower who's been towering above the Capital One Solar Spikers, but Pati Orendain continues to rally her team in this game. Kanina puro atake, this time scoring off an ace against the Highrisers.
Still at the service line, Pati Orendain. Same target, Eroa. Ipak again. Lana. And that is good for Jalana.
Jalana making up for her errors earlier, and Coach Lerma wanted to talk things over with this timeout.
And that move is brought to you by Honda Motorcycle. Let's listen in to this huddle.
Please move your vehicles. Nissan Almera, plate number NCV 2972. Nissan Almera, NCV 2972. Suzuki Swift.
Galeries Tower still with a 5-point lead over Capital One here in the second set. Aiko Ordas on your screen. You'll see the bench of Coach Roger warming up, talking about Des Clemente. Pati Orendain still at the service line for the Solar Spikers. Emnas goes to Bombita and uses the hands of Villegas again, scoring for Galleries.
So far, it's been Bombita and Ipa who's been setting the tone for the Galeries Tower here in the second set. Very successful attempts from them. Just look at that. Powering through the double block and even choosing the taller blocker in Villegas.
Orendain will set up Lana. Landicho was there to cover. Ordas from the back row. Good up by Eroa. And that is a point for Capital One. See here on your replay, Ordas from the back row. Eroa able to put that one up, but the ball was not able to cross the other side. Mela, nagkakaroon ng delay every time we see these players run after the balls because we've seen the hustle both from Capital One and Galleries. A while ago, you saw Jarrell Singh going over our LED screen. Ngayon naman, Eliza Eroa on the other side of the court. Of course, you can't discount the efforts that all of these players are putting into this game.
For sure, and lalo na we also expressed the importance of this game between these two teams.
Carly Hernandez will be serving for Galleries. They are at set point and a 6-point lead over Capital One. Hometown favorite with a good serve. Orendain from the back row pushes this. Free ball, Emnas goes to Pacres. Landicho was there. Ordas from the back row again. Good up by Pacres. Ball is still alive. Free ball, Capital One. Clemente cross court. Off the hands of Pacres.
Des Clemente with that easier runner targeting Dimdim Pacres and saving a set point for Capital One. Just look at that. Not even the most agile approach for a running hit, but equally as effective for Des Clemente.
Makatuno with the serve. Targeting Pacres. Emnas sends this one up to Paran. Checked at the net. Point goes to the Solar Spikers.
And now Galeries Tower gives 3 points to Capital One, cutting the lead to just 4, but they are at set point. And the coaching staff will go for this block touch as they need only 1 point to equalize this game. a hint of confidence among the players.
So there's no block touch. The point goes to Capital One, but then, they're still up by 4. They have room.
I'm not sure if Jurel Singh is in tears right now or not. We're gonna try to find out what happened. Maybe Allison could get a few stories for us later on.
Urdas unable to handle that Paran hit. We hear them cheering, and for good reason. Let's watch that replay again. Emnas going to Paran. Sneaks that attack over the block of Aiko Urdas as they take the second set over Capital One. We're now tied at 1 set apiece. Score 25-20. We'll be back. We're now tied at 1 set apiece after Galeries win set number 2, 25-20. First set concluded 25-17 between both of these teams. Set highlights on your screen right now. Mela, better showing from the Galeries Tower Highrisers.
Well, it's the same story but different result, no? Dahil this time it was Galeries Tower who controlled the whole set number 2, and we found Capital One struggling to find the kind of energy and the kind of production they did in the first set. As we saw Fenem Nas also leading the team and distributing her sets well to different players, and those players also converting well. We had Ibak, we had Paran also helping out in terms of scoring, and that's where Galeries Tower found an advantage over Capital One. Kanina tumoble dyan ng Capital One, but this time nakabawi itong Galeries Tower when it came to their attacks and also equalizing the blocks. And yung aces naman, mas nakalamang din sila dyan. They also managed to trim down their errors, and that is why hindi naka-keep up ng momentum itong Capital One. They did try their best. They tried to make runs. I believe they had a 4-0 run in the early part of that second set, pero wala nang sumunod doon, and that is why the lead was the lead was majority with the Galeries Tower at that whole set number 2.
Good adjustments from Coach Lerma as well, giving time to her for her bench to showcase what they can bring here to the table. As set 3 is about to begin, both teams have switched sides.
Bombita instant 3 points from being injected in set number 2. So she remains as a starter here for Coach Lerma. Hoping for more consistencies out from the Highrisers.
Almost the same lineup here for Galeries Tower. They're trying to maintain the momentum that they built in the second set. The over-on for Capital1. Heather Ginoo is back in the game for Coach Roger, together with Aiko Urdas, Pati Orendain, and Des Clemente Villegas, as well as May Makatuno and Rivera as their libero. Fenemnas, big factor on that for that second set win, starting things off with a good service. One-hand set, free ball, goes outside. Point goes to the Galeries Tower Highrisers.
The same way that set number 1 started, it was with an error, but this time it's coming off from Capital1, and we see Fenemnas continuing to serve. Just look at her aura, very confident against Capital1.
Good serve. Makatuno goes to Urdas, challenging Pacres. And Esguerra at the net. Bombita to Pacres, sends this one over. Orendain was there. Heather off the hands of Iroa, ties the game up at 1. Now it's time for a report by Alison Ko on Galeries Tower.
Behind every successful play is a good pass. This has been the mantra of the Highrisers libero, Eliza Eroa. As you guys already talked about her, Miguel and Mela, she is currently the #1 in best receiving and best digging, second in best digging in the conference so far. And back in the dugout, Liza told me all about her inspiration. And interestingly enough, quoting what she said, yung mga talo talaga namin, yan ang ginagawa kong motivation. More so, she also shared her pre-game ritual of drinking coffee helps her all the more hyped up before every game, especially today, as they look to continue their momentum here in this third set. This report is brought to you by the Pilipinas Live app. Download and subscribe now or watch via PilipinasLive.com and experience the PVL games live in HD and commercial-free anytime and anywhere in the world. Back to you, Miguel and Mela.
Thank you for that report, Alison. Capital1 with a 1-point lead now. Rivera underhand set to Makatuno. Orendain, rather. As Paran is checked at the net, Emnas goes back to Paran. Urdas.
Another long rally we're seeing between these two teams.
And Paran ends the rally off the hands of Pati Orendain.
Capital1 will challenge that last hit by Dimdim Pacres. They are contesting na not over yung palo na yon, but the thing about those kinds of calls nga, dapat talaga hanggat walang pito, hindi ka titigil, and that's a good thing about the Galleries. Karoon pa sila ng probably a point after this challenge, whatever the result may be, but that Audrey Paran hit, which was a point call to them, but it's gonna be a challenge denied by our referees.
Paran with the serve, targeting Rivera. Good dig by Emnas. Pacres challenging Orendain and scoring off the Capital1 defense.
Everything just paying off on the side of Galleries. Just look at that. Dimdim Pacres powering through Pati Orendain. We also wanted to commend the defense of Fenemnas. You know, she's playing an all-around game today, and it's very hard not to notice her dahil yung leadership talaga makikita mo. Just look at that, even diving for the ball.
Right on cue, Mela. Orendain is checked by Pacres. Look at that replay again. Good dig by Rivera. Unfortunately, Dim was there. And that sails outside point. As Clemente now serving for Capital 1. Free ball for Emnas. Eroa has to set this one up. Bombita goes cross court. Sails out.
Back-to-back errors on the side of the Galeries Tower, and now the lead is with the Capital1 Solar Spikers.
Clemente still at the service line for Capital 1. 1 point lead. Paran, Emnas to Pacres, challenging Orendain again. These two have been at it. Miscommunication there between Esguerra and Emnas.
That's actually a good intention, no? But it's just that the connection or hindi nakapag-usap itong si Esguerra at si Emnas. That was a good idea for a counter-attack dahil the blockers of Capital 1 are still struggling.
Marzan is back in the game for Coach Lerma. Bombita. This will be a free ball given by Pacres. Ordaz to the running Villegas. Another good attempt to save the ball by Emnas.
Well, if anything, it's the Adamson branding on defense. Very evident here from the game that Emnas has been having. Get that pancake save, but Paran unable to save that third touch. Second touch, rather.
She is locked in. Let's see if she will run. No. Has to send this to Pacres. Cross court. Ordaz was there. Makatuno. Orendain. Check that the net.
That was a great double block between Pacres and Marzan. Ganda ng dikit doon ni Marzan, and great reach as well.
And you see that block by Marzan? Well, that move is brought to you by Honda Motorcycle. 4-6 in favor of Capital 1. Makatuno, combination to Ordaz. Pacres, Emnas, spikes. And this one will go to Orendain. There will be no check. Point goes to Galleries. And we have a lot of fans here in the Santa Rosa Sports Complex right now. Both people and birds.
Actually, I was silent for a time because there was a bird flying around our area. But now we go back to the ball game. Audrey Paran unable to get to the defense. Again, Pati Orendain just knowing how to score off those attacks, and this time coming from that tip.
Aiko Ordaz now at the service line for Capital 1. As our crew is making sure that there are no wet spots on the floor. Aiko Ordaz now with 7 points. Targeting Bombita. Good serve, Bombita from the back row. Makatuno to Orendain. Checked at the net. Emnas to Bombita. Long rally again. Good dig by Eroa. And Ipak scores over Villegas.
Defense paying off on the side of Galeries Tower. Just look at Eroa stretching to get to those balls. Kanina from zone 4, pumunta siya halos pa zone 6, and then she got back in time for that coverage.
Dimpacres serving for Galleries. Makatuno to Villegas this time. Pinabawi. My turn, says Villegas.
Villegas and itong si Eroa, teammates before from San Sebastian. They're also very familiar with how each other plays, and they use that to their advantage. But this time, Capital 1 will regain the lead and go to this timeout.
Arena Plus, Astig sa Sports. 8-6 lead now in favor of Capital1 over the Galeries Tower Highrisers. Patty Orendain will be at the service line. After that, Villegas. Quick attack. That gave them a 2-point lead as we headed into the first technical timeout here in set number 3. Orendain with the serve. Eroa. Emnas to Bombita. Makatuno, back row to Ordas. Pacres was there with a good dig.
Great defense is played by both teams.
Bombita will send this one over. Makatuno to Ginoo, cross court.
Ginoo finally starting to get her groove here in the third set. Look at that, avoiding the blockers.
Challenging Liza Eroa in that sequence. Patty Orendain still at the service line. Already with 11 points on 9 blocks, 9 attacks, 1 block, and 1 ace. Ball is up, free ball. Emnas goes to Ipak.
There was a confusion on who was gonna get that first ball between Pacres and Katindig, and it affected the whole combination play. Let's listen into this timeout.
Ang nangyari naman, itaas naman yung chance ball. Bakit tumigil yung mga kasama? Bakit nawala yung setter natin, hindi nag-call ng play, kung tuloy or ano? Di ba? We need to communicate inside. Pag di kayo nag-communicate, di kapaan tayo. Usually, pag nagkakapaan, error.
Akin yan, akin yan, akin yan. Sige lang, tuloy lang.
Coach Lorma forced to call a timeout. 10-6 is the score. Patty Orendain still at the service line for Capital1. Solar Spikers and the Highrisers, 1 set apiece. And that service ace is the second for Patty so far in the game.
Patty Orendain just giving a lot of contributions. This was even commended by Coach Roger during their timeout in the second set. No? Sabi, ito kahit anong ibigay, nagagawa niya ng paraan na ilulusot yung bola. So, the coaches of Capital1 also knowing the strengths of their players, but also on the side of Coach Lerma's squad, Bombita staying in here in the third set after being subbed in during the second set, and she did show a better performance there. Now she's off to serve. She already has 4 points after that last hit. But will commit an error here on the service line.
5-point lead now for Capital1. You know, it's good to see that both of these setters, talking about Emnas and Makatuno, activating their middles, because it gives us a lot more action from Pacres and Orendain, you know, talking about how their spikers are freed up. Look at that play. Going to Paran. So that slight delay on Clemente's coverage.
Ang ganda rin nung hintay doon ni Emnas na talagang pinakagat muna kung ibibigay kay Ipak. And it's also very sellable to the blockers of Capital1. It's because early on in the second set, kung si Ipak well activated talaga.
Ipak at the service line. Makatuno to Ginoo. Check by Marzan.
That was an easy point for Marzan and Emnas. Not a lot of angles can choose from dahil medyo short set, and then yung cross-court area, it has the taller blocker. So more chances of getting touched.
You know, Mela, here in the PVL, we often see setters be challenged by the spikers, but in this
baliktad.
game, tatlo na block ni Emnas eh. Iniwas na sa kanya.
And I think nandun din yung acknowledgement eh. Sabi nga nila, di ba, parang you need to know where your weakness lie para dun ka makapag-double effort. And clearly, itong si Emnas, triple effort pa nga in this game today after getting 3 block points already, but 4 points in total for her. 5 rather.
Ipak still at the service line. She's now down by 2. Talking about Galleries.
Then Ginoo quick to adjust after getting blocked this time. She will go for that cut shot right behind the blockers.
Makatuno at the service line right now for Capital 1. 3-point lead for the Solar Spikers. Pacres. Emnas goes to Marzan. Orendain from the back row clips the net. Emnas to Paran this time. And she scores again.
No, Triparan, she scored off that hit, pero there was still a bit of delay dun sa blockers. Look at this Clemente from this replay. Medyo nabenta pa rin doon kay Marzan. And we have to commend the good playmaking and the overall good game of Fen Emnas against Capital 1. Just look at that. 8 excellent sets, 5 points already for Fen Emnas.
The game changer for this team. So far, ball is still up. Free ball, Makatuno. To Ordas who pushes this over. Pacres scores for Galleries.
Just when Capital 1 thought Emnas was gonna go to the open, because it was Pacres who went for the defense, but Emnas brings it back to her and we are gonna go to this timeout.
I-running mo to tapos dito mo na lang tapaluin sa likod. Pag pinapatong mo dun sa harap, hindi niya malaman saan siya iikot eh. Ang laki nung sa gitna, ang liit nung blocker mo. Biro mo paluin mo papunta dun sa gitna, mabablock ka talaga. Tingnan mo muna yung spiker mo. Tayo yung lamang natin, oh, nauubos lang sa ganyan. Ha? Laruin nyo ng maayos. Huwag basta magbibigay ng pula. Puro tayo. Tamang tayo, ha?
Good news mga kapatid! Napapanood na rin tayo sa pinakabagong free-to-air channel na talaga namang para sa Pinoy, ang RPTV. Tutok na sa Analog TV Channel 9, DTT Channel 19 at 183, sa higit 300 cable at satellite providers nationwide, at syempre sa Signal Play. Emnas still at the service line for Galleries. And that sails outside.
Galeries Tower down by 2 points after a 5-1 run right before that timeout.
Heather with the serve. Targeting Bombita, Emnas goes to Pacres who has to push this to the other side. Rivera to Ordas who scores on that cross-court attack for Capital 1.
Aiko Urdas continuing her contributions for Capital 1. Lalo na nung timeout na yun. Specifically, itong si Makatuno binigyan ng instructions to activate Urdas and give her, you know, a more comfortable position to go for those attacks.
And Nas underhand set to Pacres. Sails outside, unfortunately. And that attack gives Capital 1 the point. And the 4-point lead as we head into the second technical timeout. Arena Plus, astig sa sports. 4-point lead now by Capital 1 over Galeries Tower Highrisers here in the third set. The second game of our Saturday triple header here in the Santa Rosa Sports Complex in Santa Rosa City. Kita naman natin, everyone, families, friends, mga kababayan natin nanonood, nag-enjoy sa games. Earlier, Cheritigo versus Creamline. Later on, will be the next led Chameleons going up against the Akari Chargers. Jam-packed crowd here in Santa Rosa, Mela.
For sure, yung iba dyan medyo lumabas lang, kumuha ng pagkain. But we'll definitely be back to witness PVL greatness today. Especially meron din tayong isa pang laro mamaya.
As Marzan is checked at the net.
13 points already for Pati Orendain. She's been consistent throughout since the start of the first set hanggang ngayon. She's been a constant source of frustration by Coach Lerma. Kaya naman makikinig tayo sa timeout nila.
Okay? Alam nyo, magugulang silang maglaro. Hindi pwede yung basic lang na ginagawa natin. Kung magulang silang maglaro, dapat gulangan din nyo rin maglaro. Yung block natin, basic lang. Pinapalis nga, ba't hindi ipasok na ganun? Pinapractice naman natin yan. Pag doon, papasok. Diba? Again, tsagain natin yung tamang ginagalaw. Huwag natin madaliin. Isang pasa tayo.
Sige, tara ha?
Yan.
No, to everyone watching, kanina pa sinasabi ni Mela na si Orendain talagang nakakahanap ng paraan kung paano makascore. Sinabi na ni Mela, sinabi na ni Coach Roger.
Ngayon naman si Coach Lerma
Sakit
naman.
ng ulo na ni Coach Lerma.
And ang tawag ng mga coaches dyan, yung sabi nga ni Coach Lerma, magulang, no? Parenthood yung nila, yung game plan nila today. So, very technical din yung sinabing strategy ni Coach Lerma, especially on the blocking side. Dahil pa-check yung ginagawa ni Pati Orendain, and usually, meron naman silang blockers, hindi sila nawawalan ng blocker on the pin. Pero nakakalusot pa rin, just like this one. Not even the strongest attack of Aiko Urdas, but still couldn't be contained on the net or on the floor by the Galeries Highrisers.
Shola Alvarez back in the game, replacing Grace Bombita for Galeries. Good serve. Paran challenges the block of Orendain. Emnas with a good set, cross court. Check. That is a net touch called on Orendain.
Audrey Paran having just one blocker on that second attempt. Let's take a look at this again. Nabenta ni Fen Emnas itong si Marzan. There's gonna be a violation by Pati Orendain as Audrey Paran will serve for the Galeries Tower.
Good serve, targeting Ginoo. Orendain finding another way to score.
14 points already and the tally continues for Pati Orendain. Just making such a good comeback here in the PVL. It's so good to see her because she's actually one of the earlier all-around players that have been known in Philippine volleyball. Dahil from her talents from the province, every time she would go here, talagang yung stats niya from offense to defense, very evident.
With a good set there by Emnas. Checked at the net by Bacres. Emnas will set this one up to Dimdim. Makatuno was there. Orendain cross court this time. Emnas back to Bacres. Down the line is good for Dimni.
Dim Pacres, you know, if I've played with her before, I've also watched her through the years. Nakikita mo rin yung improvement as we see this spike of the set is brought to you by Duncan Pasalubong ng Bayan. And a big part of that also is her experience with beach volleyball, playing alongside ito sila Cici Rondina, sila Pons, back during their beach volleyball days. Bilis na rin mag-adjust dun sa mga sets eh. Before dyan siya nagsastruggle, but now clearly getting the hang of those kinds of situations in the game.
Marzan now serving for Galeries. Down 4 against Capital 1, targeting Ginoo again. Orendain will send this one over. Free ball, Highrisers. Bacres overcooks that one.
That was a good combination play, just had a problem with the execution. only having a single blocker. But Dimdim Pacres medyo sobra itong kanyang huling atake.
Ordaz with the serve. Emnas goes to Shola. Good coverage by Hernandez. Unfortunately, that's a block.
And the person who blocked that was May Makatuno. Alam mo na kung anong bunga galing din sa sanga. And sabi nga natin, tracing back to their Adamson days, it was Fen Emnas who replaced May Makatuno, and during their time, hindi rin sila yung mga basta-bastang, ay, smaller setter, sige, padaanin ko dito. Because this is how they play with their blocks.
Single block pa yun, Mela. As Orendain with another kill block. That's now back-to-back kill blocks for Capital 1.
15 big points already for Patty Orendain. Probably, definitely her best game so far this conference.
Apologies, that was a regalo converted by Orendain. Emnas will set this one up to Pacres.
Great set with a single blocker, but Pacres, no problem on the execution on that time around. Just look at that. A lot of power as well. If you're watching live, I'm sure you can attest to this. A lot of power from that last hit.
Emnas is playing at a different level right now. Unfortunately, Pacres' serve sails outside. Orendain will be at the service line.
This is actually the first time na come from behind yung mangyayari dito sa set na to. If Capital 1 wins this, they're still, Galeries are still at it after this Bombita hit.
10 attack points now for Galeries, 12 on the side of Capital 1. Makatuno goes to Villegas. Pacres, joust at the net. Controlled by Capital 1. Makatuno will push this to the other side. Emnas to the running Ipak and the scoring Ipak.
Good game by Noriel Ipak. I mean, kanina, kung na-slow down man yung pagpuntos niya, very valuable pa rin siya as decoy. And this time around, as they need more attacking options, she's activated by Fen Emnas.
9 unforced errors by Galeries. But tally that to the side of Capital 1. 9 attack errors, Mela. 4-point lead for Capital 1. So that means Galeries Tower should have been closer against Capital 1 in the set if not for their errors. They're slowly creeping in. That's called outside by our linesman, but there will be a challenge by Coach Roger and the coaching staff of Capital 1.
Emnas insisting there was no block touch. Ginoo saying there was. So this challenge is gonna prove who's telling the truth. This is a very crucial juncture also for Galeries kasi if you observe their body language, despite being down, you're still very at it, no? Talking about this third set. Still continue to produce points, but here in this replay, the ball missed the fingers of Fen Emnas. So the point is going to be awarded to the Galeries Tower Highrisers.
Now just a 3-point lead for Capital 1. Grace Bombita at the service line for Galeries. Targeting Rivera, Makatuno to Villegas off the hands of Bombita.
Villegas with her 7th point of the game. And they really needed to go for this play dahil yung mga blockers nitong Galeries nakatambay na dun sa open waiting for a set to Ginoo.
Emnas to Hernandez. Free ball for Fen. Ipak runs. Makatuno was there. Ginoo rolls it to the other side. That means Capital One takes the third set, 25-20 against Galeries Tower. Let's look at that replay of that Heather Ginoo attack again.
You know, every time Heather would get blocked, babawi siya sa off-speed. And that's just the perfect way to end the third set rather for Capital One Solar Spikers.
Now, Capital One is up 2-1 against the Galeries Tower Highrisers. 25-17, 25-20, 25-20. We will return. The Capital One Solar Spikers close out the third set, 25-20 against Galeries, taking a 2-1 lead here in the second match of our Saturday triple header. Set 3 highlights on your screens.
Well, for Capital One, nakita natin yung efforts talaga ni Patty Orendain were doubled in that set number 3 as she scores 15 points already, and she was slowed down in the second set, and that's commendable on the side of the Galeries Tower dahil yung top scorer, they managed to contain her. But here in the third set, she's as explosive as she was during the set number 1, and also she got support from the likes of Heather Ginoo, who's a bit inconsistent throughout that third set, no, but still emerging to be as one of the top contributors against Galeries in that third set. And dito makakabawi ang Capital One after being down by 1 attack point in the second set. Ngayon naman, lalamang ulit sila ng dalawa in that department. And the rest actually not very big disparity in terms of blocks and aces, but the errors given away by Galeries as well, making a big difference for Capital One to regain the momentum. And sabi nga natin, this is the first set in this game na come from behind, because usually kung sino yung nag-start strong, they control the rest of that set. But this time, the Solar Spikers taking advantage of the free points given to them by the Highrisers.
So let's see if they can tie this game up at 2 sets apiece and extend it to a 5th set. Or will Capital One record another win here in the Premier Volleyball League All-Filipino Conference?
We see different starters on the court again here in the third set for both teams. Itong si Niegos, ibabalik ni Coach Roger. We did feature her during the pre-game, but she hasn't seen as much action here in the game against Galeries.
Emnas goes to Esguera. And Niegos scores right away.
Katindig. Medyo hindi inabutan yung drop ball na yon. As you see, Isa Jimenez is also on the floor right now.
Bella mentioned also in our pre-game that Niegos is the top scorer for the Solar Spikers this conference as Clemente connects with Makatuno.
Ang ganda rin ng pasok ni Patty Orendain dito dahil si Niegos 20 points total, top scorer of the team, but right now Pati Orinda in running with 15 points and the game is not over. So she has that chance to surpass that record and start a streak for their team.
Isa Jimenez checked at the net. Good start here from Capital One.
Heather Ginoo, we see her transferring from opposite to open. No? Kanina din nung second set, may mga sequences or rallies na doon siya naglalaro sa opposite side. And through the years and through many teams as well, ang dami niya na rin na-play na position. But this time, we see Capital One with a very strong start at 4-0.
And that strong start by Capital means Galleries will be forced to call a timeout. Let's listen in.
Tayo, huwag niyo ilapit sa net, dinudukot lang tayo.
On Tuesday, March 19, we will be at the Philoil Eco Oil Arena in San Juan. At 4 p.m., Signal will face SGA.
Ilapit sa net! Guys, kailangan natin gawa ng paraan ito. Bawat bola, kailangan nyo gawa ng paraan.
Pipay! Hey, Racer! Oh, sige.
Coach Lerma forced to call an early timeout here in the set. 4-0 run by Capital One. Makatuno at the service line. 4-0 now is the score. Pacres, Emnas, underhand set to Jimenez.
Finally, Isa Jimenez scoring off after struggling with her attacks. That was a good first line hit by Isa.
Now, Isa Jimenez stopping that run, but first we have to listen to Allison, who has a report on Capital One.
You're right, Miguel and Mela. And earlier in the dugout, it's like a little reunion seeing former UE Lady Warriors, Ja, Lana, and Jel Kizan, whom I got to cover last UAAP season 85, and catching up with them and asking them how it's been like playing here in the professional league. Jel, interesting, you told me that the adjustment has been really easy. She said, and I quote, "Para wala akong naging adjustment. Sobrang gaan at madali katrabaho yung team namin." Ja, Lana further told me what helped them adjust really is the guidance of their teammates. And so as they look to end the game in this fourth set, this team connection is definitely something to look forward to from these Solar Spikers. This report is brought to you by the Pilipinas Live app. Download and subscribe now or watch via PilipinasLive.com and experience the PVL games live in HD and commercial-free anytime and anywhere in the world. Back to you, Miguel and Mena.
Thank you for that report, Allison. And that report by Allison just strengthens our point earlier in the match that yung familiarity that Jarrell Singh was talking about is such a big factor for both of these teams. In talking about Jalana and Quezon, who Allison covered during her stint in the UAAP playing for UE.
Sabi nga nung sa report ni Allison, no, yung guidance daw and leadership ng kanyang mga ates dahil we did mention how these are former stars at their own right. So yung pagiging veterano nandyan na talaga. And I'm sure they have a lot to learn from their ates as they go. Ooh! Niegos, the JRU standout. And the team's current top scorer scoring off another point from this attack again. Just look at that. Not even enough clearance to go for a very long approach, but equally as effective is that attack.
Isa Jimenez will be subbed out for Aubrey Paran.
Paran with 6 points. And it's been an on and off kind of game for her as well.
Emnas connects with Esguerra on that quick attack. Now Paran will head to the service line. Galleries trying to cut down on this 5-point lead by Capital One. Good serve. Niegos is checked at the net.
A great collaboration between Esguerra and Bombita.
See that replay again? Well read by the blockers of Galleries.
Really in position to stop Sid Niegos.
Paran with the serve, that sails outside. Now, that error sends us into our first technical timeout with Capital One leading 8-3. Awesome live sports viewing is guaranteed with Signal yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So switch now and get up to 3 months with no cash out. Visit www.signal.tv/switch for more details. Now, 5-point lead here by Capital One. Strong start coming from Des Clemente and Niegos, adding much needed points here early on in the fourth set. Meanwhile, Galeries trying to look for answers as they see themselves trailing by 5 here in set number 4. Once again, this is Miguel de Guzman. Together with me is Carmela Tunay and Alison Ko, who has been delivering us the reports on both of these teams as our courtside correspondent in the match. Des Clemente is lining up to serve for Capital One here in set 4. Targeting Paran, Emnas goes to Pacres, cross court. Scores through the block of Capital One. See that replay again. Pacres challenging the hands of Villegas in that attack. Esguerra will now serve for Galeries. 7 points now on 5 attacks, 1 block, and 1 ace. Ball is up. Emnas running. Keeps the ball up. Ipak will send this one over. Makatuno. And Niegos scores for Capital One. Bella, you know, if you look at the players of Galeries individually, they're all in the top of the standings. Andrea Marzan, number 3. Grace Bombita, number 4 in serving. Alyssa Eroa, number 1 in receiving, number 2 in digging. But something's not clicking yet. And I say yet, because I know that they're about to, have their breakthrough game, as you see there. That's another point by Patty Orendain.
Back blocks actually against her. So look at that, Patty Orendain scoring off as much as she can in all categories.
RJ Doromal back in the game for Dimi Pacres.
18 points already for Patty.
Wow. Eroa will send this one over. Free ball, Bombita. Makatuno. Orendain. Well read. Bombita finds a way to score.
Grace Bombita, known as a powerful hitter. She doesn't always go for those off-speed shots, but this time around, that's how she's gonna get a score against Capital One.
RJ Doromal with 6 points on 4 attacks and 2 aces. Orendain going to Doromal. Bombita will push this to the other side. Makatuno. Niegos sends that one over. Villegas unable to convert on Regalo. Orendain.
Look at those reflexes by both teams.
Long rally so far. Orendain trying to outsmart the defense. Emnas goes to Bombita. And she's the one who finds a hole in that Capital One defense.
Again, known for her powerful hits. But in this game, particularly here in this set, These cut shots, these off-speed shots have been working well for Grace Bombita as they try to get the momentum onto their side. They're still down by a couple of points here.
Villegas in front with Makatuno. Let's see who May will go to. Back row. Tuniegos unable to convert, and Ipak scores for Galleries.
Again, activating Ipak has resulted to a good offense from the side of Galleries, whether as a decoy, dun siya nakaka-contribute, and this time, her point coming off from that quick hit.
RJ Dromal still at the service line. Lead is down to 4. 1-2 play. Ero was there. Wow. Emnas goes to Paran at the back row. Orendain is checked at the net. Diegos to Villegas, who's checked. Good coverage. Ginoo unable to get there on time.
Having Emnas in the front line doesn't even seem like they have a disadvantage in blocking, like you did point out earlier. But Coach Roger medyo frustrated with that run, and we're gonna listen to this timeout.
Kaya hindi, ang sabi ko sa kung hindi na single, parang ginawa mo ring open dito. Diba? Parang ginawa mo siyang open dito. Di ganun din, parehas lang yun din. Ang sinasabi ko, papatong dyan o papatong dito. Ay nangyari sa'yo, quick pa rin. Pero dito mo, yung open, dinala mo lang dito. Di ganun din.
Sige lang. One pass lang.
Sige.
Capital!
Sabay-sabay nating subaybayan ang PBA Season 48 Philippine Cup. All games live dito sa RPTV para sa Pinoy. And we just heard Coach Roger Gurayev express his frustrations dahil right before that timeout, we were pointing out na having Fen Emnas at the front line isn't even a disadvantage anymore. And dun sa timeout naman ni Coach Roger, sabi niya, si Emnas na nga yung blocker. So they really wanted to make something out of their front line, talking about Capital 1, but instead it is RJ Doromal who comes off with an ace, scoring her 7th point, trying to build momentum here in the 4th set. Doromal was actually slowed down in terms of productions in the 2nd and 3rd set, but she did tally 5 points in the 1st set alone.
9-11 now. As Villegas scores for Capital 1.
Ooh, what a game for Patty Orendain. I mean, sabi natin, top scorer of the team is Niegos. On all 4 games collectively, she had 20 points. But right now, Patty has 19
Yes,
in just a single game.
that's one thing we are going to monitor as well. Imagine what an offensive outburst from Patty Orendain in this game as Ipak scores on that running off the hands of Niegos. Grace Bombita now at the service line, scores 12-10. Ginoo down the line.
Heather Ginoo really becoming that next support to Patty Orendain in terms of scoring. Dahil nakita nga natin yung struggle niya with those attacks earlier, but now she's gotten the hang of it and has been contributing better here in this set.
And Nas will set this one to Paran. Orendain was there. Makatuno sets it to Ginoo.
The scoring never stops for Fen Emnas. That is her, I believe, 6th point already.
But that replay again. Now,
7 point for Fen Emnas.
yes, it's just a 2-point lead for Capital 1. Julia Ipak already with 7 points as well. Clemente running attack, unable to connect there. And Ginoo will send this one over. Emnas, Bombita from the back row, grazes the net. Makatuno to Ginoo. The Romal with a good coverage. Bombita from the back row. Orendain That sails outside.
That pipe attack error will shy Patty Orinda in from a 20-point performance, or at least at this point, it's still very early here in the fourth set.
Still has a chance to break that 20-point mark.
Even has a chance at 25, I think. Lalo na in one rotation, she could score 5.
Galleries with 40 attack points compared to the 48 of Capital 1. Paran, that sails outside.
And signaling to Coach Lerma na there was a touch.
Let's see if they call a challenge. Coach Lerma says, no need. So they will let that point go. Makatuno now at the service line for the Solar Spikers. Targeting Eroa. Emnas sells that set well. Urdas with 1 blocker scores for Galleries.
Clearly a tighter set between Galleries and Capital 1. Just look at that. Audrey Paran finding a way to score off kahit fade away na yung kanyang way to spike that ball.
Emnas at the service line. 6 points, 2 attacks, 4 blocks for the setter. Good serve. This will be a free ball. Sent over to Eroa. Emnas to Urdas, who's checked by Ginoo. Free ball, regalo, converted by RJ Duromal.
RJ Duromal, 8 points already. And despite her production, he slowed down in the second and third set. This time, she's coming off big time para makatulong to extend this game. Because if not, it's going to be the Capital 1 Solar Spikers to take home their second win. Meanwhile, the Galleries continue to be winless if they don't find a way to extend the game.
14-all is the score now. Ginoo pushes this one over. RJ was there. Free ball this time for Capital 1. Makatuno goes to Clemente, who's checked at the net. Niegos, good up by Eroa. And they are unable to handle that spike.
Just imagine the damage from the side of Capital 1 once Niegos and Orendain are on an attacking spree. The players of Galleries still trying their best up until the last second to save that ball.
15-14 is the score. Heather with a serve. Good serve. Emnas has to adjust. Duromal will push this one. Makatuno to Orendain. Is this? No, not yet. Niegos. Esguerra is checked by Clemente. Makatuno to Clemente, who pushes it to the other side and gets the point for Capital 1. Now, 2-point run by Capital 1, which puts them up 16-14 as we enter the second technical timeout. See here, people are still coming in to witness the Premier Volleyball League live in action here at the Santa Rosa Sports Complex in Santa Rosa City. After this match, we have the next led Chameleons going up against the Akari Chargers. That's another good match. Hello sa mga taga Laguna. I hope you're enjoying the game. At sa mga nag-e-enjoy sa bahay, you can catch the PVL live head on to their social media accounts to see where they're playing next. On Tuesday, it will be at the Phil Flying V Arena as Heather Ginoo scores an ace in that sequence.
One of the stronger servers is Heather Ginoo. As we know, she played the service specialist for multiple teams in the past.
Crowd is cheering.
Abby Maraño
Okay.
is here on the sidelines engaging with the fans, and we hear some cheers rather on the sideline.
Big game from Abby also. Key contributor earlier to snap that 2-game losing skid at the expense of the Creamline Cool Smashers, who end their winning streak at 19.
This time, yung streak naman na pinipilit maputol nitong ni RJ Doromal and the rest of the galleries are their losing streak. They are the only team that hasn't registered a win in her column.
Paran with the serve. Makatuno to Orendain. Emnas was there to defend Doromal. To Ginoo. Orendain off the hands of Doromal. This will be a free ball for Capital 1. Rivera to Orendain, who's checked at the net. Ginoo keeps the ball alive. Long rally here in this sequence. Emnas, combination to Doromal. Ball is still up. Good defense here from both teams. Doromal to Bombita. Makatuno to Niegos, who's checked at the net.
Just look at Bombita. Actually, itong si Coach Lerma, sinigawan siya, binigyan siya ng instructions kasi she's been babying her attacks. But babawi sa block after containing Niegos. The delight of Coach Lerma, continuing to whisper a few instructions after that kill block.
Audrey Paran. Ginoo from the back row. Regalo. Emnas was there to cover. RJ. Cross court. Good defense again.
Ooh. The Patio and the In will not be able to get that ball across. And just look at that. Galeries Tower now with the lead.
An exciting game here for everyone in attendance in Santa Rosa. We have to give credit also to Heather Ginoo, who has been active defensively in the last few sequences for Capital 1. Orendain off the hands of Esguera. Emnas checks her spikers, goes to Bombita, pumps away, Bombita.
It's giving 2021 Grace Bombita. I mean, the way she really folded her body up in mid-air. Great connection as well with Fen Emnas. As we go to this timeout, Galeries is up by 2 points.
Pag binigyan kayo ng palo, paluin nyo. Huwag nyo nang itulak yung bola. Kamang tayo dyan nagsimula lang sa isang servicero, 14-17. Yung 14 nasa 19 na, oh. Tayo hindi na nakaalis sa 17. Kaunting aggressiveness. Resiban nyo ng maayos para maka-atake ng maayos.
Let's go! Capital! Let's go!
See the replay on your screens right now. Grace Bombita, clean attack, one blocker. Niegos unable to block and defend that Bombita spike.
Coach Roger pointing out the run that Galeries was able to do from the previous rallies. And the run continues after that Anis Guerra Regalo. It is now a 5-0 run.
Every time Mela is in the panel, it's for sure an exciting game. Nangangamoy, Mela. Nangangamoy. 5 sets na naman tayo dito. As Audrey Paran serving for Galeries.
The momentum shift is clearly evident this time on the side of Galeries Tower. 21-17, it is a 6-0 run. And looking at the body language of these two squads, we see very disoriented yung mga itsura nitong Solar Spikers. I believe they were stunned by that run.
13 attack points in this set for Galeries. 12 now for Capital 1.
Clemente, what a way for her to show up. Lalo na this is a crucial part for them. A 2-set advantage. They wouldn't want to, just throw it away.
Clemente with the serve. Eroa checks who to send the ball to. It will be Bombita who will send this to the other side. Makatuno to Niegos. That sails outside.
An error on a combination play. It's not the best time to commit those errors. Lalo na itong Galeries Tower, mainit pa. And, talking about the momentum, it's also the confidence that they've gained as they built that momentum. And now it's Ipak. Actually, the hot hands in Doromal, Ipak, and Bombita are in the front line. But Anas Guerra is going to give off a free point to the Solar Spikers.
Aiko Urdas back in the game for Capital 1. Replacing Niegos. Costly error there. Back-to-back errors from Esguerra and Urdas. RJ Doromal now getting ready to serve. Already with 9 points with 3 aces. Landicho, Makatuno, Orendain will push this one over. Bombita down the line.
The power spiker that she is, Grace Bombita, takes the Highrisers to set point to debunk the advantage, 2-set advantage pulled up by the Solar Spikers.
RJ serving for Galeries. They're at set point in a 5-point lead. Makatuno, back row to Ginoo. Hero was there. Emnas dunks it! And just like that, no celebration yet. Because there's a net touch called by our first referee. Of course, Coach Lerma not taking any chances. She will call for a challenge here.
I'm gonna check that because I was observing Fenem na sabi niya wala daw. But sometimes, especially she's wearing an elbow pad, hindi niya napapansin kung meron ba or wala. But what a run. I mean, despite, regardless of the result of this challenge, what a run established by the Galeries. Capital 1 was ready to just pack up and go home with a 2-set advantage and a clear lead here in the 4th set. We're not sure if it was the ball. Because the ball clearly hit the net, but the referees and the video challenge committee will award Galeries Highrisers a successful challenge.
Okay, that's a successful challenge, but there will be a replay of that point. So it's still 24-19 in favor of the Highrisers.
So it's a replayed point because the referee already called a violation right before the ball landed on the court. But
well, some things are meant to be, Mela.
No need for any rallies. Doromal will seal off this 4th set with that service ace.
That's already her 4th service ace as you look at that replay again.
A very sharp server indeed, directing her serve to another sharp server in Heather Ginoo. But I'm just curious as to how Coach Roger's gonna take that come from behind win by the Galeries Highrisers.
We're going to a fifth set. Capital One takes set number 4, 25-19. We will be back. You're tied at 2 sets apiece. 25-17, 25-20, 25-20, and 25-19 here in the Premier Volleyball League. We are heading to a fifth set between the Galeries Tower Highrisers and the Capital1 Solar Spikers. Set for highlights on your screen. Nella, take us through what happened in set number 4.
It's a different storyline every set. I mean, the first 2 sets, different result, but it was in the same fashion na kung sino yung nagsimula ng mas malakas, sila din yung nagko-control ng buong set. And we did mention how that third set was the first come from behind the set 1, but that time by the Solar Spikers. And here in the fourth set, it was a run completely by the Galeries Tower Highrisers, and it wasn't really expected kasi medyo pa-endgame na rin since nakalamang itong Capital One. But let's take a look at the numbers of set number 4. You know, yung nagiging trend din dito kung sino yung team na mas maraming atake silang nananalo in that set. And the Galeries Tower surpassing the Solar Spikers at 3 points in that department. And the blocks, despite Capital One having more block points, mas konti rin, na-limit din ng Galeries ang kanilang errors. And that is why they had more momentum, more confidence among their players as Coach Lerma shuffled different players on the floor for Galeries rather in that set number 4, and they all contributed big time. I mean, even itong si Audrey Paran, especially Doromal, who just got back in the game here in set number 4, but did big contributions for the team. And of course, the consistency of Eroa and Emnas manning the non-scoring departments and making everyone work better in that set number 4.
Set number 5 begins with Makatuno serving. Emnas goes to RJ. RJ scores.
Patio Renda in, no attempt on defense. Obviously, just looked at the ball, land on the floor. But I mean, the momentum is on the side of Galeries after that set 4 win, and they really invalidated the 2-set advantage of the Solar Spikers.
Clemente unable to convert on that one. Bombita checked at the net. Emnas underhand set to Bombita again. Landicho to Ordas, challenging Doromal. Marende in from the back row. Emnas to Bombita. Good read by Landicho. Lana down the line is checked. Emnas 1-2 play. Well read by Clemente. This will be sent to the other side. Eroa to Bombita. Long rally here. Lana again. Good dig by Paran. Doromal ends it.
What an emphatic kill by RJ Doromal. And look at the players signaling 4 touches to the referee. And even us here on on the side, we were wondering why there was not a call made for any violation. But that's the rule in volleyball. Hanggat walang pito, just go on with the rally.
That's
And the good thing for the Highrisers, they did not stop until they got a clean point from Doromal.
2 points up now as Lana is checked at the net. Free ball. Emnas will go to Doromal again.
Clemente asking Lana if she touched the net.
Coach Roger calling for a challenge just to make sure. It's the 5th set until 15 na lang ang labanan dito.
You really have to look for any advantage you can. But what a strong start for the Highrisers. But if anything, yung learnings dun sa set number 4 talaga is it's not even a matter of who started strong. Diba? Parang pangdagdag na lang yan sa mga intangibles. But we know na in this game, any team is capable of coming from behind and winning that set. Because both teams did that respectively for set number 3 and 4.
See the footage on your screen. Video challenge.
Jalana, I believe, who touched the net. She didn't feel it because she also is wearing sleeves.
Barely grazing the net in that block attempt. Gives
So,
Galleries a 3-point lead.
Itong Galleries, may pinaglalaban. They want to get into that win column.
Combination. Bombita will send this one to the other side. Makatuno. Emnas. Eroa to Doromal again. Off speed this time. Free ball again for Galleries. Emnas this time goes to Esguerra. Good dig by Ordas. Fen. RJ. Long rally again. Nobody wants to give up. Ordas with a good dig. Orendain from the back row. Eroa. Underhand back set. Too much for Bombita.
We've seen a lot of long rallies all throughout the game. And there's really no guarantee kung kanino magtatapos, no? Dahil both teams ang ganda talaga ng kapit in this game and those long rallies. But this time around, Capital 1 will take that point for their first point here in the 5th set.
Jalana with a good serve, targeting Bombita. Emnas. Overreach called on Des Clemente.
Ayan naman yung kagandahan, no? Yung attempt talaga nandun. And Clemente just over-eager to get to the ball, resulting to a violation.
And Esguerra now at the service line for Galleries. 3-point lead. Raises the net, gets lucky. Lendicho able to recover. Orendain gets the point for Capital 1.
Orendain, I did mention she was 19 points earlier, but that actually was her 19-point pa lang. I stand corrected. But nonetheless, what a production from Patty Orendain, the veteran. Definitely came to show up big time today.
Des Clemente also with 8 points now for Capital 1. Eroa with a perfect reception and Nas to RJ Doromal.
Yung the connection talaga, ang sarap panoorin dahil you know na itong set ni Emnas kay Doromal is specifically for her because the height is different when it's backrest, dahil it's different for Doromal. So alam mo na kilala niya talaga at kung saan makakapalo ng maayos yung mga spikers niya.
Makatuno to Orendain. Checked at the net.
Another block point, and we've pointed this out countless times all throughout the game that having Pen Emnas in the front line clearly not a disadvantage.
See that block again, and that move is brought to you by Honda Motorcycle. Doromal now at the service line, 6-2 lead for her squad. Good serve, targeting Lana. Back set Ordas, checked at the net. Ordas again, second time, still no go. Villegas had to push that one. Emnas to Bombita. Good dig, Landicho. Patty, free ball. Galleries, Fen, running ipak. Almost connecting there. Back set again to Ordas. Another long rally. But there was a net touch violation called on Bombita.
Look at the exhaustion of the players. Ganda rin ang naging diskarte ni May Makatuno. Talagang pinagod yung mga blockers. She's been setting left and right. Piso, itong si Noriel Ipak parang nagmamarathon sa gitna, patakbo-takbo. But the strategy was effective for May Makatuno.
Doromal, underhand set to Bombita. Makatuno was there. Orendain. Fen knows it that she blocked. The go-to player of Capital One right now.
The X factors of both teams going head-to-head on that last rally. Fen Emnas, another solid block against Pati Orendain.
So much confidence right now, talking about Fen Emnas. Good serve by Bombita. Back set again. Orendain tries to find the way. Bombita will send this one over. Makatuno to Orendain.
The blockings of Galleries are resulting to intimidation on the side of Capital One.
Galleries Towers now with a 5-point lead over Capital One. Now, Alison Ko has a report on us on Galleries.
You're right, Miguel and Mela. What a game so far. Both teams are really not letting this game go easily, and this not giving up mentality is actually the highlight of my conversation earlier with Galleries team captain Dini Pacres. Well, she did say to me it has been hard and frustrating for the Highrisers being winless at this point of the conference. They are nowhere near to giving up just yet. Tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang laban. These were the words of the captain. Kahit pagod na, laban pa rin. This report is brought to you by the Pilipinas Live app. Download and subscribe now or watch via PilipinasLive.com. Experience the PVL games live in HD and commercial-free anytime and anywhere in the world. Back to you, Miguel and Mela.
Thank you for that report, Alison. Now, she mentioned to please download the Pilipinas Live app, which is available for Filipinos anytime, anywhere. And I can vouch for that. You know, even if we're not in the Philippines, you can watch your favorite volleyball games, PBA games, UAAP games, live and on demand, only on the Pilipinas Live app.
Tignan nyo naman yung quality ng games na mapapanood ninyo. Watching these two teams, it doesn't even look like we're watching the bottom-ranked teams because the rallies are really long, and the overall game actually has been very interesting. Right now we see the Galeries Tower 6 points away from scoring off their first win in the tournament.
And Villegas says not yet. Connecting with Makatuno in that sequence.
Well, if there's anything that worked really well on the sets that they played and won, it was when Makatuno was going a lot to Villegas. So that's one pattern that we have to observe kung mangyayari pa yan here in the 5th set. They have to capitalize on her while she's in the front line.
Rendayin. Last minute decision by Eroa to pull out on that attempt to receive the ball. A good decision there as Coach Roger is forced to call a timeout. Capital One down 6.
Malulukot na itsura nyo eh. 1 to 50 naman yan eh. Mag-extra effort kayo. Hindi na kailangan dyan ng hindi na kailangan dyan ng lungkot. Lalo lang kayo madidiin dyan. Magsaya kayo, matalo tayo, at least sumalabang kayo. Hindi kayo nagbibigay ng panalo sa
Coach Roger rallying his team. You're down 6 points. Aiko Ordas on your screen right now. They're trying to cut down on this Galleries lead. What's at stake here is the second win of Capital One in their maiden conference. For Galleries, on the other hand, is their first win here in the Premier Volleyball League All-Filipino Conference. And this is also the game where they won their first set win. Things are looking bright for Galleries right now. See the Solar Spikers can go on a run. Starting off with that error from Shola.
That might be a very costly error for Shola Alvarez, coming off cold from the bench. And it's always nerve-wracking kapag ka fifth set ka magsaserve, no? Regardless if babad ka sa laro or hindi.
Parahan cross court. Bawi yung point na pinamigay ng Galleries. As Paran puts them 4 points away from taking this match.
Look at that, Audrey Paran going for the deep cross. May konting pagsabit sa net, but nonetheless resulting to a point, especially because Lana was waiting for a cut shot.
Fen with the serve, targeting Rivera.
The numbers of Fen Emna's 5 blocks. You wouldn't even imagine that came from her. I mean, with the height disadvantage.
Coach Roger forced to call his second and last time out in this set. As you look at that attack by Paran with the enjoyment of her teammates.
May iiwan talaga doon. Yung depensa pag nakita niyong naiwan na yung middle, ibayan nyo na yung depensa sa likod, gagalaw na kayo. Huwag kayong maghintay ng bola kung dadating sa inyo o hindi. Gumalaw-galaw kayo para kahit saan pumunta yung bola. Bola niyo yan!
Coach Roger trying to cheer his team on, asking them to go for one more run. Ilaban nilang to, sabi niya. Then if there's one person right now who wants to end this soon, it's this girl on your screen serving right now, Fenem Nas, who Mela Tunay mentioned, has 5 big blocks in this game.
And 7 total points. And just look at Doromal exploding. You know, the moment she got injected back in the game, there's no looking back on the earlier sets where she was a bit inconsistent. Since that 4th set, she's really exploded with so many attacks, even service aces. Now with the 14 points in the game.
Makatuno to Clemente, cross court. Finds the line and scores for Capital 1.
Great effort by Des Clemente. Yun din yung kailangan nila kasi ayan yung mga hindi nako-contain masyado nitong Highrisers, no? Yung mga running hits sila ni Villegas. So they need more of that to stay alive in this 5th set.
Emnas, back set to Paran, checked at the net. Emnas to RJD. Makatuno, Orendain from the back row, good dig by Eroa. Bombita from the back row this time. Lana will send this one up. And set it to Orendain. Sent to the other side, free ball. Clemente unable to handle that one. Another long rally. Lana sends this one over. Good dig by Eroa. Makatuno. Ordas cross court. Ball is still alive. Long rally here to the delight of the Santa Rosa crowd. Clemente, though, ends it with that running attack.
Again, it's those running spikes that Galleries don't get to contain, regardless if it's Villegas or Clemente. So they really need to go more to them. Because, you know, we've been having countless long rallies in this game. Now Coach Derma will talk things off with her girls. Let's listen in.
Yan dalawang yan, hindi natin hihintayin mangyari yan, ha? Kailangan natin trabawin bawat puntos. Ngayon, let's work for 14. Okay, point 14. Pasahan natin. 3 yan. Pag gano'n naalanganin, friends, i-ano mo na lang, wing-wing mo na lang. Ready ka? Baka mo.
Sit lang. Tapos tayo, let's go!
Be with us, Lord.
Tara, let's go! Hey, Hellraiser!
Walang magmamali.
Eagerness to get their first win in that Galeries Tower huddle as they are up 13-7 against Capital 1. 2 more points needed from the Galeries Tower
Good point
Highrisers.
made by Coach Lerma dahil being 2 points away does not guarantee you're gonna go home with a win. They really need to work for it. Sabi nga niya, hindi natin hihintayin yung 2 points na yan. Because it's not just them going towards the score 15. It's also Capital 1. And they're activating Aiko Urdas here in the 5th set. We also saw that replay of the Clemente runner early on. So now they're at the streak here against the Highrisers.
Full front line for Capital 1. Clemente trying to get that regalo, but they will instead get a free ball. Rivera, Makatuno to Clemente again!
May Makatuno might have heard us saying she needs to go more to her middles, and those running hits have been very lethal for Des Clemente. And now they are building up on momentum here in the 5th set.
Pasa lang tayo.
Pasa tayo ha, patong tres.
Patong ako, hirapan ako dito.
Kumuha ka. Pwede rin, pag nakita mo,
Takbo ako.
gumistansya ka sa net. Pag nakita mo single block, gumistansya ka ha. Pero patong tres. Kung matalo ka ha, iline mo.
Okay,
Okay? Pasa muna tayo. Sige na, lamang tayo.
Easy ball.
Walang ano dapat, walang pressure dapat. Lamang tayo.
Hey, Highriser! Okay,
Very specific there with the plays that Coach Lerma wants them to run as we're trying to get the last 2 points needed to win this match against Capital 1. May Makatuno at the service line. Lana, Ordas, and Clemente in front for the Solar Spikers. Emnas has Doromal. Back set to Ordas, cross court. Paran checks her at the net. Lana challenging the blockers.
Great recovery from Rica Rivera. It was a block time duel by RJ Doromal, but the coverage was there and they converted that to a point. Look at the PVL rookie and Jan Lana. Sabi niya nga kanina, ang dami niyang learnings dito sa mga ates niya, sa mga veterana from Capital 1.
Esguerra puts them 1 point away from match point. You were talking about the learnings that Lana was getting from her veterans here in Capital 1, Mela, and it goes to show the trust also that Coach Roger is giving her. Crunch time, 5th set. The rookie is inside the court right now. Paran serving for Galleries.
This is a learning experience for both teams, but let's see if the Galleries get to finish this.
Bombita. Lana. Rejected by Bombita. And Galleries storm the court as they celebrate their first win of the PVL All-Filipino Conference. Fen Emnas, RJ Doromal, Esguerra, total team effort. Mela, look at that rejection. Grace Bombita ending this match with an exclamation point.
It's so nice to see the players like Bombita very emotional because it's a test of character for them. You know, winning it in 5 sets, alam mo na they have been put into a test, but they emerged victorious because of their teamwork, their talent, and their overall in-game strategies to adjust against the advantages displayed by the Capital 1 Solar Spikers as we see the confirmation of that Highrisers win. 25-17, 25-20, 25-20, 25-19, and 15-10. It is by far the longest game we've had so far this afternoon in the PVL, but we're not done yet. Malay natin, let's call it. Baka 5-setter tong next game.
Yeah, the next game will be a fun one indeed. But before we head on to that, we first turn it you over to Alison Ko, who is with our best player of the match. Alison?
You're right, Miguel and Mela. Here with me now, leading the Galeries Tower Highrisers to their first ever win here in the PVL is none other than their setter, Fen Emnas. Unang-una, congratulations. Looking back in your journey, alam naman natin na mahirap yung pinagdaanan nyo, hindi naging madali. Gaano ka-importante ang naging unang panalo nyo ngayong araw?
Siyempre, sobrang importante ito sa amin, as in.
And dito kami makakuha ng kumpiyansa din namin. And syempre, thank you din at gumana yung namin. So lahat kami hungry for our first win.
Now, let's talk about your performance in this game. It's quite a long game. Natalo kayo ng first and third set. Ano yung mindset mo na maging consistent all throughout the game?
Yung laging sinasabi sa akin, kumalma ako. Kumbaga ako magli-lead. So sila susunod lang. Then ayun, pinanindigan ko yung pagiging leader ko. So kailangan kalmado ko, makokontrol ko sila. And sila na bahala yan sa mga puntos, sila yon.
And syempre dahil ito nga ang una niyong panalo at ikaw ang player of the game, may gusto ko bang batiin sa mga nanonood sa atin ngayon?
Gusto ko lang po batiin yung mami ko, si Gina, si Kuya Habi, si Pam, Ate Mitch, si Maddie. And sa lahat ng mga nanonood dito, thank you for the... Thank you for the warm welcome. And ayun, kay Heather. Yun na po.
And once again, Fem Emnas and the rest of the Galeries Tower Highrisers, their first ever win here in the PVL. Back to you, Miguel and Mela.
Thank you for that report, Allison. Thank you, Fen. Thank you, Galleries. Congratulations. But, you know, before we end this day, there's one more game coming up, and that's between the next led, the Chameleons, and the Akari Chargers here in the PVL All-Filipino Conference. Camille Cal looks ready and warmed up to take the court, as they are being invited right now to enter the playing court, going up against their sister teams. On behalf of Carmela Tunay, Alison Co, and the rest of the crew, this is Miguel de Guzman. You're watching the Premier Volleyball League, the heart of volleyball.